The mind unshaken, power over what you cannot control. Control. It's the illusion we're all born into. The belief that if we try hard enough, plan long enough, or care deeply enough, life will bend to our will. But sooner or later, every person faces a truth that strips that illusion away. You can't control the storm. You can only control how you stand in the rain. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus each lived through chaos, loss, and failure. And yet they stood unshaken, not because life was kind to them, but because they learned the art of power over what they could not control. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire at war. Seneca was exiled, condemned, and betrayed. Epictetus was born a slave. And still, each of them found peace. How? By shifting the battlefield from the world outside to the one within. Because control is not found in changing events, it's found in mastering response. We spend our lives chasing control, over outcomes, over people, over how the world perceives us. But the truth is, almost everything is outside of our command. We can't control the weather. We can't control whether others love us, understand us, or stay loyal to us. We can't control what tomorrow brings. We can only control what we think, what we say, and what we do. And that realization, when it finally sinks in, it's not defeat. It's freedom. Because once you stop trying to command what isn't yours, you finally have the energy to master what is. Epictetus said it best. Some things are up to us, and some are not. That's the line between peace and chaos. To blur it is to suffer. To honor it is to live in harmony with reality itself. So ask yourself, how much of your pain comes from trying to control what never belonged to you? How much anxiety is born not from events, but from resistance? We get angry when people don't behave as we expect. We feel defeated when plans fall apart. We cling to the past, replaying every word, every mistake, as if thought alone could rewrite it. But all that energy, all that turmoil, it's wasted on what cannot be controlled. The Stoic path begins when you start redirecting that energy inward. When you stop saying, "Why did this happen?" and start saying, "How should I respond?" Because the world will always act according to its nature, unpredictable, indifferent, and ever-changing. But your mind, your judgments, your values, your choices, that is where your sovereignty lies. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Because when you realize that you can't control the world can no longer control you. To live unshaken means to live anchored in principle, not in circumstance. When people insult you, you choose composure over reaction. When life disappoints you, you choose gratitude over despair. When everything falls apart, you stand still and remember, this moment cannot destroy you unless you surrender to it. It's not about becoming emotionless. It's about mastering emotion through understanding. The Stoics didn't suppress feelings, they refined them. They didn't pretend pain didn't exist. They examined it, learned from it, and refused to be defined by it. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And he was right. Think about how often the fear of what might happen hurts more than what actually happens. We live half our lives fighting ghosts, the possibilities that never become real, the conversations we rehearse but never have, the rejection we imagine before it even arrives. That's not living. That's imprisonment. Control, in its truest form, is liberation from illusion. It's not about bending the world to your desire. It's about releasing the need for the world to obey you. Because once you detach from the fantasy of control, you begin to experience reality as it is, raw, imperfect, uncontrollable, and beautiful in its impermanence. You see, peace doesn't come from predicting life. It comes from trusting yourself to handle life. When you stop demanding certainty, you find clarity. When you stop clinging, you find strength. When you stop resisting, you find peace. The Stoics called this alignment with nature. To live in accordance with what is, instead of what you wish it to be. When you understand that the river flows where it must, you stop fighting the current. You learn to steer, not to stop the flow, but to move within it with grace. This is not passivity. This is mastery. To accept reality doesn't mean you give up. It means you act from wisdom instead of impulse. It means you choose deliberate action over emotional reaction. You keep your effort focused on what you can shape, your attitude, your words, your discipline, and let go of the rest. Because the moment you chase control over what isn't yours, you lose control over what is. You lose control over your peace, over your focus, over your self-respect. The Stoics were warriors of attention. They knew that the mind, if left unguarded, becomes its own worst enemy. Every grievance you feed grows stronger. Every resentment you replay becomes a habit. But every moment you pause, reflect, and choose reason, you reclaim power. And that is what it means to have a mind unshaken. It's not the absence of storms, it's the presence of steadiness. The waves crash, but the rock stands. The noise surrounds, but the mind remains quiet. The world burns, but the soul stays cool. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Soon you will have forgotten all things, and all things will have forgotten you." This wasn't meant to be depressing. It was meant to free him from the weight of trivial concerns. When you realize how temporary everything is, success, failure, praise, pain, you stop giving your peace away to things that will pass anyway. The greatest strength lies not in domination, but in detachment. To be fully alive, yet fully free from the need to control life. To care deeply, but without clinging. To act with courage, even when the outcome is uncertain. That is real power. We often mistake control for security. We think if we just plan enough, hold tight enough, we can prevent disappointment. But life was never designed to be controlled. It was meant to be experienced. Every rejection, every ending, every unforeseen turn, these are not violations of your path, they are your path. Your growth is not what happens when things go your way. Your growth is how you handle it when they don't. Epictetus taught his students to practice a kind of mental premeditation, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. He would imagine loss, illness, hardship, so that when they came, he would not be shocked, only steady. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. Because the one who expects life to be unpredictable is never broken by surprise. You don't need to control the storm when you've learned to trust your ship. That's the Stoic way, to prepare, to strengthen, to build inner calm so steady that chaos no longer shakes you. You can't control what others say about you. But you can control whether you let their words define you. You can't control whether life is fair. But you can control whether you act with integrity. You can't control when pain arrives. But you can control whether you let it make you bitter or wise. Every time you choose reason over reaction, peace over pride, humility over ego, you build the mind unshaken. Brick by brick, decision by decision, you become less dependent on what happens, and more anchored in who you are. And yes, there will be moments you fail. Moments where anger wins, where fear takes over, where you lose yourself in the noise. That's okay. Because even then, you have not lost your control. You've just momentarily forgotten it, and remembering is part of the practice. Stoicism is not about perfection. It's about returning, again and again, to the center. To that still place inside you that no event, no person, no circumstance can reach. That's the ultimate form of control. Not control over life, but mastery over self. It's the discipline to remain kind when others are cruel. The strength to stay silent when anger demands a reply. The clarity to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. In a world obsessed with dominance, this kind of control seems invisible. But it's the rarest kind, because it can't be taken from you. It doesn't depend on approval, success, or stability. It lives quietly within you, untouched by chaos, untouched by time. The mind unshaken is not born, it's built. Through reflection, through discipline, through the daily practice of letting go of what you can't command, and mastering what you can. So the next time life challenges you, when someone disappoints you, when a plan collapses, when the future feels uncertain, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is, act wisely. If it isn't, let it go. Either way, you remain unbroken. That's the secret the Stoics lived by. Peace is not found in controlling the world. It's found in controlling yourself in a world that refuses to be controlled. Because in the end, all power begins and ends in the same place. Within the mind unshaken.